Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace.
And Kennedy wasn't lying. He really wasn't. A new generation indeed. He was the first guy born in the 20th century, like he said, and the man he was taking over from, Eisenhower, was 70 years old, all right? Kennedy was 43. That is a 27-year age gap. That is truly a generational change. And when we talk about generation, if you look it up, basically it's referred to as this, a period ranging in age from 20 to 30 years. I bring this up because Kamala had a birthday yesterday. She is now 60 years old. Kamala Harris, 60 years old. Happy birthday, whatever. But let's face it, she is not exactly a baby, right? This is no spring chicken. That's okay. We're all going to get older, hopefully, right? But when she runs around saying stuff like this, mathematically, it's not true.
What I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country.
I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
We are so optimistic about our new generation of leadership for America.
It's a new generation of thinking as much as anything else.
Yeah, sorry. You're a senior citizen now, 60 years old. She's not that young anymore. She's older than the average president. I think the average president's 54. Donald Trump, 78, if we can see. That's not a significant age gap. It really isn't. 60s, 70s. They try to make this such a big deal, and Donald Trump is not aging. There's something really amazing going on there. If you want to talk new generation, that's J.D. Vance, all right? He's 40. He's 20 years younger than you, Kamala. This is genuinely a voice of a new generation, although I think there's too much ageism, quite frankly. It doesn't really matter how old you are. It's the quality of the ideas, the experience, your integrity, that kind of thing, all right? It's just one other exaggeration/lie told by Kamala and her friends. All right, next, please. 14 days left. Can you believe it? There are 14 full days of campaigning left. If anything is going to happen to possibly change the, I don't know, an October surprise, time is running out. You know, you're going to get, next week, it's like the frozen zone. Nothing is going to change, most likely, the dynamics of the election. And if I were running for president, I'd be doing what Trump is doing and not what Kamala is doing. This past weekend, Kamala took it easy. She sat down with that guy, Al Sharpton. That's somebody most people would avoid. By the way, this is it. She's finally, you know, the election is here. She's not sitting down with Walter Cronkite. There is no Walter Cronkite. She sits down with Al Sharpton. Quick reminder, Al Sharpton is a maniac.
I leave it off in the pig. Well, they got pigs out here. You ain't off one of them. What I believe in, I do. Do what you believe in. Right. Or shut up and admit you've lost your courage and your guts to stand up.
All right, that's the company she's keeping. At this incredible moment, everything is backwards and upside down. It really is. Meanwhile, Donald Trump campaigns like, well, like a candidate of the 21st century, like a millennial. He's mixing it up. He's going places that candidates normally don't go, like McDonald's, like eccentric podcasts, like everywhere. That's kind of what you want to do unless you, I don't know, someone's promised you something, someone's going to arrange something for you. This is how you work, like crazy. And people respect, in America, hard work. Donald Trump in Western North Carolina today.
Well, I've gone 52 days without a day off, which all of these people would respect, but they do it the same because they're just like, we're called workers, right? We're workers. For better or worse, we're workers. I don't know if it's the best thing. We didn't have to be. A lot of them didn't have to be. I didn't have to be. I could have been on a beautiful beach, but I'd much rather be right here with you because we're going to turn the country around. Beyond the area, we're going to turn the whole country around.
It really is something to respect, and I wonder if people are noticing that Kamala has been taking it easy. 3 months, 3.5 months as a campaigner, right? Nobody voted for her. And he is going all over the place and at great risk. And unique places. All right, everybody saw it. This was amazing. It was so perfectly well done. We're going to talk to one of the customers coming up who went through the drive-thru. Kamala boasted about working there, but she didn't seem to actually work there. Couldn't come up with any specifics. Where else has President Trump been lately? The Al Smith dinner, which is not an event without risk. Not everybody in that room was for Trump. Interesting dynamic, and he won. He takes risks, and he wins. What else has he been up to? The Steelers game, that was awesome. Probably not too much of a risk there. Just a very smart campaign move. For Kamala, she's got to worry about the booing. And sitting down with The Undertaker and the other guy, and Kane, I guess he didn't show up. Just being innovative, different, energetic. Kamala sat down with Liz Cheney. The weekend's over, and she's hanging around with Liz Cheney. Is that going to get her anywhere? Really? Liz Cheney? We've heard this thing, all right? I've been through it a million times. The January 6th thing is a fraud. I don't think you're going to make any points that way. Hey, I'm fine that she's wasting time with Liz Cheney. I'm totally fine with it at this point. Now, I'm also totally fine with this statement from President Trump.
Look at Shifty Schiff and some of the others. Yeah, they are, to me, the enemy from within. I think Nancy Pelosi is an enemy from within. I offered her 10,000 National Guard troop, anything she wanted. No, but she didn't take them. She should have taken them, and you wouldn't have had you wouldn't have had January 6th as we know it.
So what's the problem? Enemy from within. How can he say something? The enemy from within. How could he say that? Just look around. We have lots of enemies from within. Of course, they did have their, anything he says, it just must be outrageous, right?
Trump's use of the term enemy within is one of the most harrowing things. And this rhetoric, I think, is something that's very much an escalation from Donald Trump.
And calling them the enemy from within, a threat he's now repeated 3 times.
His Hitler talking points about the enemy from within are very real.
Well, what do we call this? What do we call Drag Time Story Hour? If you want to be a drag queen, great. 18 and up, have at it. Have a party. I might even show up. Whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get dressed up. Adults, not with the kids. This is an enemy from within. This country is falling apart. It's rotting, and we're in big trouble. Saying enemy from within, you know who talked about the enemy from within? My friend Barbara pointed out. Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln. Decades before he became president, he was making a name for himself as a very bright orator and gifted lawyer. He spoke to a group, and he laid it out like this. The language is not today's language, all right? It's very, very formal, but listen to this. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth in their military chest, with a Napoleon for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio in a trial of 1,000 years. All right? That's a fancy way of saying that if we were invaded, they wouldn't make it to the Ohio River. All right? The biggest, greatest armies in the world, they could not defeat us. We are America. It goes on. At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. A fancy way of saying the enemy from within. This is what he's getting at. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. The nation killing itself. And at that point, Lincoln was very, very upset about what he called mobocracy. The mob actually just storming and asking for things and demanding things and breaking the law. Now, people will say, well, what about January 6th? Well, what about the 557 Black Lives Matter rallies that were not peaceful? What about that? President Trump also, I guess, concerned people when he talked about maybe we'll need the National Guard or even the military for some of these enemies within. That's not a radical statement. Who remembers the 1992 Rodney King riots, right? After the cops were acquitted, all hell broke loose in Los Angeles and in other places. Anybody remember they brought in the National Guard, but they also brought in the Marines. George H.W. Bush ordered the Marines to go to Los Angeles to help quell those riots. Just because Trump says it, they think it's crazy, but it has roots in our country. Abe Lincoln, George H.W. Bush, and anybody looking around right now today, that monster who hangs around kids in school, pornographic books in middle school, there is definitely an enemy within.